Wife cheated on me while she was out of town. A little background information. I'm a woman in her early 30s. My wife is in her mid-30s at the time of this writing. Married for more than 7 years, and have been together for 10 years. I believed, erroneously, that we were satisfied and working together on some core life goals that we all shared. I was plainly incorrect: debt payoff, retirement, traveling, etc. We've been hard at work on the renovation of our home. That is to say, we had plans that we were actively debating at the time. Then there was the previous week. Without going into detail, I picked up my wife's phone after seeing it vibrating on the counter and dialed her phone number. She was holding it in the wrong direction. When she was out of town a few weeks back, I received a text message from the person with whom she had an affair. I then read further text messages from my wife to her friend, in which she brags about how wonderful it was and complains about being unable to walk the next morning. My heart skipped a beat when I read this. I made the decision to contact her immediately and inquire as to whether she was cheating. She was the first to confess it. I wanted to know why she did it, so I asked her. She expressed her dissatisfaction with the situation. I was curious as to what it was. It was she who informed me that her friends had advised her that she behaves differently when she is with me as opposed to when she is with them. She told me that she doesn't feel like herself when she's with me, and I agreed. She then indicated that she was unsatisfied with her current situation in the bedroom. She acknowledged that she was under the influence of alcohol at the time of the occurrence, but she was positive that it was fully consensual on her part. He was regarded as easy to talk to, physically gorgeous, charming, and positive by his girlfriend. That night, we talked for a couple of hours about what you should expect in coming days. She stated that she was unsure whether or not she wanted to save our relationship. She stated that she had damaged it too much, and that it would be easier not to try to fix it now. I intended to collect my belongings and leave that evening in order to get away. After a time, I changed my mind and informed her that I was not interested. I had no intention of leaving. She has denied the opportunity and I go. As a consequence, she decided to leave and stay at a friend's place. She returned early the next morning, unpacked a few belongings, and picked up the dogs from the kennel. We sat and spoke for a few more hours this time. I need to know how she was able to deceive me in such a blatant manner. Why she didn't talk to me about it before it got this far is something I really want to know. She merely proceeded to convey her apologies and remorse in the same manner. It was never once that she fell to her knees and begged for assistance, or to humbly seek forgiveness. Nothing. We'd had enough and she'd left us for good. So she's now gone home with her folks, I reasoned, to sort things out and get her head on straight. I am well aware that I am a complete who is unable to function. I had a feeling she was as well. She has lately informed me that she has not shared this information with anybody, including her parents, since she is not yet ready. Fine. Okay, that's understandable. But we had a shared mobile phone plan, and I made the mistake of checking to see whether she had genuinely stopped talking to this person. Once again, I was overcome with sadness. There have been hundreds of text messages sent to and from them every day, all day, since the first time they had, including image messages. She says she isn't ready to communicate with anybody. Yet she bombards this guy with hundreds of texts from the time she wakes up until the time she goes to bed. I also confronted her with the issue. Eventually, I suppose she realized I had had a look at our cell phone account and realized what she was talking about. I will not be spied on, she said emphatically, and she went on to say, and if I want to talk to him right now, I will do so. Afterwards, she went out and purchased her own cell phone. Asked what made this guy so special, the response was he's positive and easy to talk to. I was impressed. I'll also mention that he's married with 2 young children, which is a nice touch. We've decided to put a halt to all communication until Saturday or Sunday, at which point we'll resume contact as usual. I recommended that we meet in person instead of conversing on the phone to address the situation. In retrospect, I'm not persuaded that was the best course of action. I'm not a complete idiot. It's there in front of me. I can see it. Me and my wife, whom I had just met a month before, are no longer together. She is completely disinterested in me, in us, or in our life as a whole. Nothing. My dilemma right now is that I don't know what to do next. I'm saddened beyond all comprehension. The most I've been able to accomplish thus far is call a counselor and chat with him or her directly. My first appointment was this morning at 8:00 a.m. Above and beyond that, though, I'm at a loss about what I should do next. I have a slew of questions for you. I'm interested in learning why this is the case. This was completely out of my control. My wife is just amazing. I'd want to have her back in my life. I'm completely befuddled, and I'm not sure how I'm going to cope with this hurt and treachery, especially because she shows no remorse and continues to communicate with this individual in question. I don't expect to get any replies. I'm well aware that many of my questions will never be answered. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to vent. Story 2. Would I be wrong to ask if my wife is cheating? I've been married to my 31 male, wife 31 female, for 2.5 years. She is quite close to her sister and sometimes stays over for move-up nights, girl conversation, and so on. It does not bother me in the least. Her sister has recently been experiencing troubles at work, as well as conflict with her other siblings. She has started asking my wife to stay the night more often as a result of her stress. This has irritated my wife, who claims she doesn't have time for herself. My wife has remained with me 3 times this week, including today, which is unusual. On my way home after hanging out with a buddy, I grew worried and decided to drive over and see if she was still there. It was dark outside, but her automobile didn't seem to be there. I contacted her shortly after I arrived home, and she stated she was getting ready to leave her sister's house. We've been having problems with intimacy for a long, and she's promised to work on it. These difficulties are leading me to believe that she may be seeking for fulfillment outside of our marriage. I want to confront her about not being at her sister's house, but I'm afraid I be mistaken. In addition, we want to attend a fireworks display with friends on Memorial Day and don't want to make things unpleasant. Is it wrong for me to confront her? Update. When she went home that morning, her phone received a notice while she was asleep. The texts were from an old high school crush. Instead of seeing her sister, she seemed to have been meeting him for. This had been going on for more than a year. She has met at both his and our homes. They were also deeply affected emotionally. She had more intercourse with him than she had with me throughout our whole marriage. She found a method to meet with him whenever I was at work or with my friends. When I challenged her, she attempted to lie about everything. I backed her up against a wall with evidence, and she ultimately confessed. She sobbed and apologized many times, but I left the home. I had minor doubts throughout the years, but I dismissed them as paranoia. We haven't had since we were married and have gone through marriage therapy. Otherwise, everything was going swimmingly in our relationship. There was nothing wrong with her drive. She simply liked having with other guys and going home to pay her expenses. I'm really sad and enraged. I did all in my power to be a good spouse. None of this was fair to me. This will very certainly lead to problems with trust in my future relationships. We don't have any children or own any property together. Update 2. We've only been married 1.5 years, not 2.5. As much as I wanted things to work out for us, I've chosen to annul the marriage. We spoke, and she still doesn't understand why she chose to have an affair or why we didn't have. She is sorry and regrets what occurred. When I found out about the affair, I made some unpleasant remarks and insults, which was very out of character for me. I was hurt because I believed I was doing everything right in my marriage. Counseling, prayer, and in-depth talks were all part of it. I'm sorry because I genuinely wanted everything to work out. I got the distinct impression that we were onto something extraordinary. I assumed we'd get over the difficulties and be okay. It's difficult to let go, but I know it's for the best. My self-esteem and trustworthiness are non-existent. My life, I've been informed, would improve dramatically from here on out. That one day I will meet someone with whom I will be much happy. I'm hoping things will improve for me, but I'm not seeing it right now.